was not as quick, it wasn't fast enough, so that in the light breeze it would get blown away. This is what became of the first drone. It got run over by a car. I was flying it in the national park, went up above the trees, and a slight breeze that was blowing at the time caught it and took it out of range of my controller. And when I found it, or someone found it, returned it to me, it had already landed on Carifesta Avenue and had been run over by a car.
Oh, this is my day. I'm ready to take it on, come what may.
So that is what happened to drone 1.0, but I catered for it. This is the reason why I bought a cheap drone. This was $100, and I thought it was cheap at the time. I would not recommend it. This Contixo drone is in fact not worth $100. It's probably about a $40 product, $50 max. As you can see, the SYMA drone, this one is $129. I paid $129 US for it, and it's way superior both in quality and size to this cheap Contixo drone. So I would not recommend the Contixo as a starter drone, or if you do buy it, you should only pay about $50, $40 for it, and you should fly it indoors. It had a 3 megapixel camera, and the quality of the video was really lousy. So this is a 0 out of 5 if I were to give it a rating. Okay, so these are all the parts. This is the base with the propellers and the motors. This is the camera that comes with the drone. It's a kind of a GoPro type of camera, but 8 megapixel camera made by SYMA. These are 2 sets of propellers, and these are much larger than the previous drone. So the propellers for the previous drone are much smaller, and the reason why I got this drone is because the first drone, the starter drone, was too slow, and a slight breeze would cause it to drift and blow away. With this drone, however, it should be faster with larger propellers and bigger motors, and we should be able to fly in something more than a slight breeze. Now the batteries I bought, so I bought additional batteries. These are the batteries from the original, the first starter drone, and the batteries from this new drone are much bigger, as you can see, so you should be able to get a longer flight time. And this is the battery charging system. Comes with a transformer and some kind of adapter for the battery, and this is the controller. Controller, of course, also requires batteries, 4 AA batteries, but I've already bought those. And these are the propeller guards. So guys, I'm going to hook this up, set this up, all up, and then we'll take it out for a test flight and get some footage and see what it looks like. Stay tuned. Okay guys, that's it. The drone has been fully assembled. And what I'm going to do is give you a brief tour. So I've turned it on, and it has green LEDs on one side, and red LEDs on the other side. The propellers are in fact position or location sensitive. It has two A propellers. These are the A propellers on opposite sides, and B propellers, and you need to follow the label. This is the B and the B on the other side, and that's because the propellers are spinning in the opposite sense. The blades are angled opposite to each other. Alright, so that's the SYMA drone, and this is the controller. It doesn't seem to have a place for you to use your iPhone, for example, as the screen, but I'm going to investigate that. Maybe there's an app that allows me to do that. And the camera doesn't really get fixed to a gimbal. It's just attached to the bottom of the drone, so the camera doesn't change angle. I can't control the camera. It doesn't have a motorized gimbal, and I guess that's why it's cheap. It's still on the cheap side. So the next drone, the next level up, is going to be a drone that allows me to change the direction of the camera, to angle it up and down, and so on. But this is $129, and I think for the price, it just seems sturdy, and it seems to be worth $129. Alright, so I'm going to do a test flight. I'm going to film it, then take some footage for the camera, download it, and see what that looks like. Stay tuned. So guys, this is the point at which I lost contact with the drone. It had gone out of range, barely 100 meters away from the controller at the time. And so I was desperate now. In fact, I didn't know what to do, so I decided to follow the drone. I tried to get as close as possible so I could let it down a little bit in height, in altitude, so that it wouldn't be blown away more quickly by the wind, which is probably moving much faster above. And then I just ran out onto the street and around the corner towards the cemetery. The cemetery we're going towards here is Larry Pentero Cemetery, the Larry Pentero Cemetery, and the drone luckily had just been hovering at a lower level and was just drifting with the breeze. So I was able to get back in range of the drone. Of course, I got some help. A young man on the street saw the drone and thought he could catch it with a cast net, but showed me where it was, pointed it out, and then I saw it in the distance, and I was able to run so that I can get close, that is within 100 meters of it, and I was able to regain contact with it. And this is me trying to get it to come out of the cemetery towards the road which I'm standing on. And in this case, it is not in headless mode, so you have to keep your orientation. Moving left is not going to move it left. Moving left is going to move it right, and so on. So after trial and error, and I'm still in the learning phase, still beginning to get a hang of this, I was able to get it to drift closer towards the road and away from the cemetery. So this is me trying to steer it and to angle it so that it could fly towards me. Took some time. Eventually it got there. This is it crossing the pond. Well, attempting to cross the pond, goes back into the cemetery, and then finally I get it to cross the pond, that is the trench, and to land on the ground, and I was able to retrieve it. So that was the first flight, a little bit traumatic, but I think it can be done, I think it can be managed, and we'll see more of this in future. Like and subscribe. Later.